Learn2Code Flappy Bird session. It's the complete walkthrough, and we're going to go through things fairly quickly. First of all, let's add in our Flappy Bird. In Flappy Bird, the bird never moves forward. It just moves up and down. So the first thing we need to do is program our bird to constantly fall down. So we're going to add a new rule, and we're going to say when the play button is tapped. If we want something to automatically happen and always happen, we usually use when the play button is tapped. Now I'm going to go into control flow. And kind of gave you a bit of a clue. We're going to use the repeat forever block, and we're making the bird move down. If you remember, down and up is on the y-axis, and down is going to be a negative y movement. So I'm going to change y by -80. And from experience, I know that if I just make it constantly fall down, it happens really fast. So I'm actually going to put a wait 100 milliseconds in there. I also want to make my bird look like it's flapping. So I'm going to do two things. First, above the wait 100 milliseconds, I'm going to add a change pose. And below the wait 100 milliseconds, I'm going to add a change pose. So you see now that my bird flaps and falls down. And if I tap the screen, absolutely nothing happens. And that's because we haven't programmed it to do anything yet. So this is just the program to make your bird constantly fall down. So make sure you get that done. Next, we're adding the rule to make our bird actually pop up when we tap the screen, so fly up. So I'm going to use the event when the iPad is tapped, and the upwards movement is going to be the opposite to the downwards, so it's going to be changed y by a positive number. I'm going to say 200. Let's test that out. And my bird flaps up and down. I'm pretty happy with that. I think it looks cool. You might want to play around with the numbers a little bit if you don't like it. So we got change y by 200 when the iPad is tapped. That makes the bird flap up. And our other block is repeat forever, change y by -80, change pose, wait 100 milliseconds, and change pose. Now next, we're going to add our pipes into our Flappy Bird game. And the pipes are going to be a row of emojis. So I'm going to type out the emoji just a number of times. I'm going to use the barber shop things again. Around 10 is a good number. It doesn't really matter that much. Move it up to there, and I'm going to add a new rule. Now you'll see that my emojis are running from left to right. They're running horizontally. So I actually want to, the first thing that I want to do when the play button is flipped, is tapped, I want to flip or turn those emojis 90 degrees. So instead of running left to right, they're going to be running up and down. That's exactly what I want. Then next, I'm going to get the emojis to move towards the left-hand side of the screen, which is going to be a -80x movement. So yep, we got that one movement. Now I actually want that movement to happen forever, so I'm going to put it in the forever block. And now if we press play, what should happen is that my pipe will move to that side of the screen, and it's going to get stuck on that side of the screen. Now what I'm actually going to do to make life a little bit easier, because we're about to add in another pipe, and we're going to do the same thing with that pipe in a few moments, is make an ability called pipe. To make an ability, I press that plus button, I type in pipe, and then press create, drag out my pipe, open it up, and pop in the different code blocks into that pipe. So I've made a new block called pipe. I can close it off, and that makes my pipe move from that side of the screen to that side of the screen. So what I'm going to be doing next is actually making this pipe, when it gets to that side of the screen, reset right over the other side to the right-hand side of the screen. And the event for doing this is actually a little bit tricky. We're going to grab the smaller than block, and we're going to say that when our pipe's X position is smaller than or less than 50, and you can see if I drag that pipe, less than 50 is going to be about here. Once it gets somewhere past where my finger is, then this event will run. And what do I want it to run? I actually want my pipe to set its position way back over on the right hand side of the screen. So I'm going to say, oh, calculator, for X, it'll be 1100. And for Y, I actually want the Y to change. So I'm going to pick random. I'm going to type in the low value of 600 and the high value of 900. And what this does, it will mean that sometimes my pipe is going to be really, really low, and sometimes my pipe is going to be a little bit higher up. I think I might have to change that value maybe. Let's say 750, and let's make this one 550. Let's try that. Okay. So you see that time my pipe was a little bit higher, then it's a little bit lower, it's still pretty low, and then a little bit higher. So I could go in, I could play around with that value a little bit. I think I might just keep it at 650 and play that, and I'm pretty happy with how it's going at the moment. Okay, so next we're going to do the same thing for another pipe. So I click text, click into my emojis, and type out another pipe. And this pipe I'm going to put right down the bottom of the screen, put them roughly in line. And here, the first rule I'm going to add is to make it act like a pipe. And that's really easy because we made that ability before. I just drag out that and those blocks are already in there. So that's all I have to do for that part. Then second, I'm going to do the same thing. When this pipe's X position is smaller than, go into values, go into X position, smaller than 50, what do I want it to do? I want it to reset its position, and I know from before that I'm going to make it go to 1100x, and for Y I'm going to pick a random. This time the Y is going to be different because it's down the bottom of the screen, so the Y is going to be much lower. I'm going to say -150 to 200, and let's try this. Okay, so my gap's pretty big there. I'm happy with that. Now the last thing that we are actually going to do is add in a score. So first of all, I need a placeholder somewhere where this score is going to show. So I go into my text and I'm going to type in 0, and then I'm going to drag that 0. I'll have the score show about here. Now next, the way that my score is going to go up is when these pipes actually get to that side of the screen. So in here, I'm going to say when the X position is less than 50, set position we've got already, and I'm going to add in the increase value. I go across to iPads, I create a new value, and I'm going to call it score. And I drag score out, and what I'm doing is making the score go up by 1 every time this pipe hits that side of the screen. Okay, so nothing is happening on my screen. Why is that? It's because we haven't programmed this 0 to do anything, so it's just being a 0. We need to program this 0 to show the score, and we want it to always show the score. So I'm going to say when the play button is tapped, repeat forever, appearance, set text, so this is changing that 0 to the text that we tell it to change, go into values, go across to iPad's values, and click score. So what we're saying is here, when the play button is tapped, repeat forever, set the text to what the score is. And if you see now, it doesn't really matter if I get through the pipes or not, because if I hit the pipes, the score is not going to go down. The score will go up every time that pipe gets to that side of the screen. And that's exactly what we want. So next, I'm going to program the screen to go, the score to go down whenever the bird hits anything. So first, I'm going to add in some grass into my game that the bird can land on it if it fell. Okay, so I'll pop that down there. Now I'm going to program the parrot that whenever it bumps, the parrot bumps absolutely anything, I want this to happen. And what do I want to happen? I want to set the value of score, go across to iPad score, to 0. So let's press play and have a look. So my iPad's working, and then the score goes back to 0. And you'll see that there's a bit of a glitch in there because the score then goes straight back up to 1. But for the moment, we're going to leave our game at that. You guys have done really well if you've been able to follow along with this so far and you've got your Flappy Bird game working. If you have done so, you might want to think about ways that you could possibly improve how the score works and how the game functions. But if you managed to get to this point, you've done a really, really good job. So we've programmed the bird with 3 different things. The first one was to fall down and also change its pose. The second was to change its Y position by 200 whenever we tap the iPad. And the third was whenever it bumps anything to set its value score to 0. And then we have the pipes moving in the background and turning. and then the pipes repositioning themselves to the other side of the screen. So that's been Flappy Bird. I've been Jack Lewicki. Thanks for following along. I hope that you have enjoyed making your game, and I wish you all the best while you continue to improve your game. We'll catch you soon.